Welcome to the Women's Voice, a platform for learning, advocacy, and awareness on issues affecting women of Uganda and beyond.
Good afternoon, our viewers today. This is the Women's Voice. My name is Bagonza Rebecca. This is a platform where we come to share, learn, and unlearn very many issues about women, surrounding women. Today, we are privileged to be hosting our dear friend, Mr. Nyombi Peter, who is an expert in mental health. I wouldn't say he knows it all, but I believe he's an expert and he has a lot to share with us. May I introduce to you Mr. Nyom Peter, over to you. May you make a brief introduction, please?
Okay, thanks very much, Rebecca. Good afternoon, viewers. Peter Nyombi is my name. I'm glad to be here today. As my friend Rebecca was introducing, yes, I am a specialist in mental health. Maybe not expertise, as she said, but I'm certainly sure that there is that speciality that we really do have in mental health. I'm glad to be here, and I'm certainly sure we are going to have a fruitful engagement.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bwana Nyombi. Yeah, we are glad to be hosting you once again here on the Women's Voice, because when we talk about Women's Voice, most people think it is all about women and we only host women. No, that isn't the case. Here we are today hosting some of our male friends, of course, sharing pertinent issues about ourselves. Mental health is quite something that some other people tend to undermine. But just a brief recap of what happened the other time, what we discussed the other time. Yeah, we talked about mental health as a state of well-being that enables people to cope with the life stresses, realize their abilities, learn well and work well, and contribute to their communities. We briefly talked about the comparative implication of mental health. Then also we briefly, Mr. Nyobi briefly talked about the developmental stages at which mental health risks manifests most. Yeah, we are very much aware that we go through different developmental stages, but there are those that the mental health risks manifest at most high. Then also we went through some of the categories of mental health disorders. Yeah, mental health is not alone in itself, but it presents some disorders. Then also the determinants of mental disorders. For those who are with us that time, thank you so much. And thank you for joining us once again. Today we are here to talk briefly about, we would like to continue with our conversation. And here today, Mr. Nyombi is going to be talking to us about mental health recovery journey. Mental health recovery journey. What does it mean? When they talk about mental health recovery journey, what does it entail? So over to you, Mr. Nyombi. May you take us through when you say mental health recovery journey, what does it mean? What do you mean? Over to
Okay,
you.
thanks very much, Rebecca. Mental health recovery journey, if we are to set it up the way it is, number one, it has gotten three ideas. One is mental health, number two is recovery, and number three is the journey. When you talk about recovery, we are talking of situations of wellness. How do we become well? Most especially in situations whereby we have gotten a dysfunction or a deformity somewhere. So in most cases, when you talk about mental health recovery journey, we talk about how someone gets onto the journey of getting well after suffering from a mental illness. In most cases, when you talk about the recovery journey, or when we are tracing the recovery journey of an individual, it is very important always to start from the root cause. What could have been the cause of the mental illness? Besides, what is the nature of the mental illness are we thinking of? Because as you know, last time we were discussing about the various categories of mental disorders or mental illness, but ideally you can't finish all of them. So in this, we know very well that when we talk about a mental health recovery journey, we start from the nature of mental illness, and then how did it come into existence? Ideally, if you do not know what could have caused the mental illness, it's very difficult to think that you can come into the recovery. In society, in most cases, we always look at mental health in regard to the behavior, the verbal and non-verbal behavior that we always see. But you know, mental health takes much more than that. Sometimes we ignore much about the emotional bit of it, and yet it's really crucial when it comes to mental illness. So when you talk about mental health recovery journey, we are talking about how do we come into this process of helping someone or even helping ourselves to gain more recovery after suffering a given mental illness. Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Nyombi. I don't know. I don't know. For those that have missed this session, for sure, you are really missing a big deal. I did imagine this could take us. Yeah, this is what you meant by when you mentioned mental health recovery journey. But to my surprise, it is not a surprise, but I'm so excited anyway. That is it.
Sure.
So thank you so much. I don't want to add on anything onto that. I'm just excited. I really need to hear a lot from you, and I can't wait. So on that note, may you please tell us, may you tell the viewers, how does mental illness occur? How does mental illness occur?
Okay. When you talk about mental illness and how it occurs, mental illness, first of all, it's a biological occurrence. It happens in a sense that scientifically there is a brain damage somewhere, or there is an infection of the brain in a sense that someone is not able to reason well, to behave well, to speak uprightly, and even not really in position of getting that sense of mental judgment. So in most cases, when you talk about how this occurs, it happens in the sense that scientifically we know that there is an interplay between the intrinsic damage of the brain, that physiological bit of it that people do not see, but a permanent damage in the brain in relationship to the causal factors that prevail within the environment. In most cases, people get such problems naturally or genetically, but again, on several occasions, very many occurrences within the environment lead to mental illness. And what really becomes so much of an effect is the loss. Mental illness is always as a result of a loss. It could be physical loss. Someone has gotten something and maybe they lose it. Someone has been trying to aspire for a given career and somehow, somewhere, they lose it. Someone who has been so much committed and faithful in their relationship, and most especially this comes so much to the point of the side of women. They feel, yes, they have been committed somehow, and then all of a sudden they are paid back by a disappointment. So all these really bring lots of challenges within someone's mind. And ideally, we believe that when you talk about mental illness, is so much of this emotional loss that an individual attaches on whichever loss that they have gotten. You may lose money, and yes, that is different. But the emotional loss that you attach on the loss of the money prevails so much to an extent that someone can develop a mental illness. So the occurrence of mental illness is this permanent damage or the injury someone gets in their mind after experiencing the changes within our own environment. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, for such a wonderful description of how mental illness occurs. But now, then, as a by the way, maybe, what about because in our African setting or African traditions, we've been hearing about this myth about mental illnesses, like some people claiming he has been bewitched. Then all of a sudden he has lost his like sort of he is confused, and for that matter he is now sick mentally. How do you relate this to the scientific explanation?
Actually, sometimes when people try to come up with mental illness, you'll find lots of theoretical perspectives about mental illness. But scientifically, we have, for us, we know that an individual's cognition, the brain, sometimes gets damaged. Once the brain gets damaged, it depends on the real nature of which kind of damage have they gotten. I'll give an example. In mental illness, we have gotten like around 2 critical disorders. We discussed them briefly last time. One is what we call schizophrenic disorders. Schizophrenia, for instance, it gives an individual another world altogether. The world that does not exist. In fact, that's what we say, that mental illness, when we talk about schizophrenia, we talk about the symptoms like hallucinations and delusions. Hallucinations are false perceptions. Someone might be sitting there, and then for them, they perceive the world that maybe they are on their wedding day. And then they start now seeing all the parents, the rest of the people, the grandmother, all of them have come to the wedding. But ideally, it's not that they are there, but the fact is that this person is just perceiving the world in a different way. Others have gotten beliefs. Sometimes someone believes that they are not who they are. Someone can come and tell you, right now, I'm an important person. I've just been talking to the president of Uganda, and he's coming to have lunch with us. So sometimes when you hear such things, you might think someone is bewitched. I mean, he's not in their normal senses. is even talking about people who do not exist. And for people to believe that someone has been bewitched. But honestly, it is just a disconnection within someone's perception and coordination within the brain. So we do highly believe that mental health or mental illness has gotten a scientific cause that leads to this. And surprisingly, any other person would wonder. Traditionally, they always say when you start now trying to make things right, the traditionals and witchcrafts, they will never come to proper order. Today you will go, the other day you will go. I mean, the reality is that there is no cure if someone takes up that particular idea. But we know very well there is that discoordination when someone perceives the world, and it's purely scientific with scientific interventions.
Ah.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, this is so interesting. So interesting. I didn't imagine that this topic could be this much interesting. I can't imagine, and I didn't know that all these people that keep on talking to themselves, presenting situations of confusion. I didn't know. I didn't know. This is the situation they could be going through. However, thank you so much for that. It is very interesting. Yeah, we don't regret, we don't take this opportunity of hosting you for granted. So in such a situation, because you're a specialist, now I need to find out. There are some I hear or I've read about stages, psychological or emotional stages that maybe we can base on to describe the different emotional processes that people go through when they are facing these life changing events. But they are not so clear to me, maybe to also to the viewers out there. They could be going through the same situation, that this is not this is a situation that is not so clear to us. So can you briefly take us through these emotional stages that can help us to describe these emotional processes?
Okay, thank you very much. By the way, when you're asking me a question, something came to my mind. Sometimes we believe that when you talk about mental illness, it's all about those people that have stripped naked, those that are throwing stones, those that do not have the capacity to think. But mental illness starts so small. Even simple stresses that we believe they are simple, they can lead to mental illness. So sometimes someone can be there thinking that for them they don't suffer from mental illness, and yet indeed they are having the problem. So, as we said that right from the beginning, we talk about loss, that mental illness is so much related to emotional loss. So, when it comes to emotional loss, an individual goes through quite a number of stages when it comes to emotional loss. We are going to use one model, the 5-stage model that was discovered by one researcher called Elizabeth Kubler-Ross in the 1960s, that's other side. This lady wanted so much to bring the idea of what is the psychology that is there when someone is dying, the process that they go through. And then we realized that much as it can help in that, the same stages will always come into an individual, even if someone is not really dying. So when someone experiences a given loss, they sometimes undergo a number of stages. They are quite a number. There are 5 stages in this case. And these 5 stages will go in like one. The first stage is denial. In most cases, we believe that things bad cannot happen to us. Sometimes unconsciously, we believe that we are even immortal. That's why someone cannot say that they have told them you're going to die. I mean, the first thing that comes to our brain is misbelief. So the first stage, emotional stage, that is related to mental illness is denial. An individual cannot believe that whatever has happened indeed has happened to them. That's why you realize that when an individual, either they diagnose them with a given terminal illness, they refuse the reports of the doctor. No, maybe let me try out somewhere. Maybe the testing machines were not working well. And then they continuously go into that. So you realize that that problem goes on, and an individual does not want to accept that they have a problem. In most cases, these people do not want even to talk about it because they believe that it is a self-protection or a self-protection mechanism, that when you don't talk about something, it appears as if it's not there. I have seen this so much in people like victims of sexual harassment. They reach a moment that they don't want to talk about it. They reach a moment that they don't want to think about it. Somehow, somewhere, this means that they are trying to heal. But it becomes challenging that they don't only accept the reality. So denial, sometimes it should really be for a shorter period. But again, you realize that an individual can stay in denial the rest of their life. When someone loses, let's say someone has gotten an accident and they have lost their limb, they will never believe that they have now gotten a disability. So because living in that particular denial, they will refuse to go for treatment, they will refuse to go for therapy, and then they live in such a moment. When you realize that an individual is likely to stay in such a mental state for the rest of their life. However, individuals quickly do away with that and try to accept that, yes, there is this particular problem. So the first stage that we always talk about when someone has gotten a given challenging situation is denial. But sometimes denial does not really, it does not really prevail for long. Somehow, somewhere, an individual believes that, yes, something has really happened. And in this case, this now brings them to the second stage, which is anger. Sometimes when someone goes into the second stage, they are trying to ask themselves, why of all people, it's me who has gotten this? Of all the people that are in the world, why is it that it's me? So from that, they start now hating everyone. You would realize that when someone is maybe like in the hospital, they will start yelling at the doctors and nurses. Even at home, someone becomes a problem at home. Sometimes they look at situations. Maybe they are watching TV, and as they are watching TV, maybe they see someone who is dancing, those who are jumping, and that is a rude reminder to them that, you know what, for you cannot dance at this particular time. So you find that they develop this kind of anger, and this anger is always thrown to each and every one. Whether you are aware of what someone is going through or not, they will always throw this anger onto an individual. That's why you realize someone, without knowing, someone starts up a fight with someone. I have my own problems. Yes, but I mean, the person that you're talking to does not know even the problem that you're going through. So it's always in this stage that people come into this kind of anger. Why of all? And for that reason they start getting disappointed to each and every person. But ideally, under normal circumstances, this should not also go for long. And when an individual really help them, then they go to the third stage, and that is bargaining. Sometimes here, someone feels like they are trying to understand.
Um, Excuse me. Hello. Maybe we seem to have lost Peter. But we stopped at a level when he had finished discussing with us about the different stages, and he had finished, discussing for us something to do with the denial, as the first stage in this life challenging in this process. And also, he went ahead and talked about anger as the second stage. And this is even more, this has caught me the more, the stage where people normally have this big question, why me? Why should this happen to me? Well, when in great frustration, we tend to ask so many questions about the same thing. It keeps on coming back and coming back and coming back quite often. Why me? Why should I be the one to go through this stage? Why should I be the one to be in this situation? So I think it is really something so bad for us. But for those who are sure, I'm happy I'm part of it. There is a lot to learn. That and on to our, maybe we are not aware, but our alert, especially us, the people who are around us, talking about right from it can different conditions, and why isn't this why is this
Amaina gange ninze Biryeri Jacqueline, twipe yange nze ndi mukyala Munole, era nzaalibwa mu Busoga, nkulire mu Busoga. Obuzaale bwa baba Bunole nga kitundu bakyeta Bunawale. Mama yanzaala mu kika mwana mulala. Ndi mukyala mukosefu. Obukosefu bwange okwida bwaida lwa polio. Obukosefu obwo tibwalinga kuki bwasizo bwakusooka kugema baana nga emirembe dino. Bo ife batugemesanga lupaji ng'ente. Katonda yampa amagezi n'abaakwe yangemaku nga ndi ku myaka 16. Natandika okusoma eby'emikono. Eby'emikono bino nabisomera Namagonjo mu district y'e Bugiri. Bantoola mu engeri eneekululanga nga olugendo lunene bandize Namasere mu Kisulo. Mu by'emikono ebyo bwe nasomanga nasoma n'amagezi era nasomanga bulungi ayi lwakuba nti ssente neddandeetera ebizibu ng'awuwaire oli mulema otola school fees. Aye engeri yenasoma eby'emikono ne binnemereyizaawo n'abaana bange 7 n'abaidukulu 28. Nkola n'ekirisi, domat, ebiibo, emipiira, naluka n'ebimuli eby'omuwuuzi. Ebirooto byange saawa eno bye ndi nabyo oba okuva Enumere kyakuzimba numba nungi. Ekikanemesiiza ekirooto kyange ekyo okutuukirira. Mbeera weewaawo nkola eby'emikono bino. Ayi obuzibu bw'endagaine, akatale katono, akasente ako kaba katono. Wayagana nga kagiire ku bulwaire, kagiire ku lwenki, kagiire ku kulya. Bwe nsituuka ku nkyo nkeera abaana abaidukulu bange nga bakaali mu buliri, nagema ekisiimula n'amaadi n'omukebe, nasiimula ku wenje okutyama, nagema ebintu byange neenakiza mwene, naseetinga enumba yange namanya nti enumba yange kantegeke nti edo n'emirimu nzedde neekozesa bwe maliriza, namanya nti maze okunywa ku caayi, natandika ebintu byange okuluka. Famire yenakuliramu yali ya daada azaala maama era neyankuza. Era abaana betwakula nabo baali beeta daada nti senga. Kuba daada yazaala omwana mulala ni maama azaala. Tiyayongera kuwa kubiri. Wori okugitegeera nafunamu ebizibu. Ebizibu bino nga banaze ebintu eby'omwana wange omugenzi namba 2 eyafa. Ngeri yali kunsumbuwa eyabiiba ebintu ebyo ansindikira abaisirukale obwire bangeme 6 7 bankonkola. Wemba ndini gwe nagayira yali mukwano gwange yankata ye bwe toyidi kitongole ekiri gansi ekyanakyewa ekyabakyala ekiyamba abakyala nti tidi ati nkuwaire transport eno gema bodoje. Bwe nasituka najja paka Amanga era baananiriza olw'obulumi bwe nali nabwo najja okufuluma mu ofiisi nga bansangwire naku ku mwoyo. Olw'obuyambi bwe bantuusaako nga ndi mu bwetaavu nabona nga nzira kyensobola okubawa nasalawo n'abayikiza amagezi gange ag'omu bwongo eby'emikono. Era njeere mu bakyala ku sheeta abakyala abalina ebizibu abazira kyakola n'abasomesa eby'emikono. era mu kujja mu kusomesa ebyemikono zeena kisigala n'ekirala. Abalema amagezi g'embaga tulekere kusabiriza era twekolere. Mu kwekolera tweyemerezaawo ate tuwangula.
I am Phoebe, 17 years old. I was raised by a single mother. We stay at the church in Jinja district, where my mother works as a caretaker. I have 2 siblings, 1 sister and 1 brother. As children, life at home was hard. My mother did not have a good earning job to provide for us all the basic necessities. I was therefore forced to start working at an early age. I used to sing gospel songs at youth gatherings, where they would pay us some little money, which I would use to buy the basic necessities. It was at one of these gatherings where I met the father of my daughter. We started as friends, and he promised to marry me after my senior 4, since I had no hope of continuing with school after that level. Unfortunately, during my senior 2, I got pregnant, and this is when life turned round. I was forced to drop out of school. I was forced to leave home too, since the church gave a reason that they would be promoting sin if they left me stay with my mother. Bad enough, the father of my daughter also denied the pregnancy. We tried reporting the case to police, but unfortunately, we did not receive justice. I was instead sent to stay with my mother-in-law. While there, life was still hard, since I was forced to do all the housework despite my delicate state of pregnancy. Sometimes I would be denied food, and at one point my brother-in-law threatened to strangle me and kill me if I dared reported them to police again. Luckily enough, I met a friend who directed me to the Women Rights Initiative. When I got there, I was received. I was counseled and housed at the Nyonga Women's Shelter. I was given all the basic necessities, and I was also taught skills like bakery. I also learned how to knit baby stockings out of thread. After I gave birth, I was resettled at my grandmother's home in Vuwekula, also found in Jinja district. I was given a startup package which would enable me start up a small business to take care of my daughter and I. My mother also came to my rescue. She taught me how to make soap, which I would sell to supplement my income. I'm so grateful for having a turning point in life. My dream is still to go back to school so that I can get more knowledge. I would advise young girls to stay focused on their goals.
once again, about it is a network issue. Apologies. Because about different stages with our specialist, Mr. Nyombi Peter. Hope you can hear me, Mr. Nyombi Peter. Hello, Mr. Peter.
Yes, 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 I'm getting you.
Mr. Nyombi, hello.
Hello, I'm getting you.
We seem to have lost Mr. Nyombi.
Hello, I'm getting you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he comes back. Okay, fine. Can we restart? We're about to start with depression as a stage in our process. No. Yes. Can we start from we stop? We are really sorry. We apologize. Hello, over to you, Mr. Nyombi, about depression. We all face the same situations. Mr. Nyombi,
Yes, please.
hello. We are really sorry, but maybe we can continue from there. You talk up to us about depression, and then we get to know how we get over it.
Okay, thanks very much, Rebecca. Before we were a little disrupted, we were discussing about depression, and we said that depression is sometimes a situation whereby individuals come to terms to believe that yes, something has happened, and now the issue is about the silence, how to deal with it. As we were trying to discuss, we said that depression can be understood in basically two ways. We have what we call the reactive depression. Reactive depression is a situation whereby an individual is grieving about the loss. Sometimes things that they have gone through, they feel about whatever they have lost, and then they feel they can't hold it anymore. In this case, in most cases, individuals tend to go silent as they think about whatever they have lost in life, as they think about the challenges that they have faced as they are living. The other set of depression is what we call the preparatory depression. An individual gets depressed by thinking about how they are going to live the rest of their life in such a state. So in this, you realize that an individual will always prefer to go silent. They think about that, they get into that pain when they are purely silent. You know, someone can be having challenges. Let's say, for example, an individual has undergone a number of surgeries, and these surgeries, someone comes to an end of feeling like, oh, I think I've had enough. So in this case, you realize that an individual cannot even go angry, or they can also maybe put on a smile. I mean, they reach a moment that they can't even feel important on earth. In most cases, depression, many people, if they don't overcome this, they are likely to develop quite a number of mental disturbances. Others even reach an extent of developing suicidal tendencies. You know, they feel they can't do anything. They feel they are rejected by God and even the people around themselves. They feel someone does not understand them. They know that, yes, the problem has come. They have nothing to do. They have to continue with life. But you know, that pain will always be there. Someone remembers how they used to be well, normal, and now they cannot. Someone thinks about the future. How will the future be when I'm having this kind of a problem? So you realize that when an individual gets to that, then it becomes so much of a problem. Now, taking away all this pain and memories is not so easy. That's why an individual keeps on rebounding in and out of depression. And in most cases, you realize that it should really be worked upon into someone's mind to realize what is going on. So individuals go into depression, and the recovery journey, if an individual manages to come out of this, then they come to the, what would say, the last stage, and that is acceptance. Now, acceptance is when an individual comes to terms and understand that, yes, the situation is here to stay. I cannot do anything about it, but I can now start up with what we would call positive living. In this, an individual works hard to ensure that they will continue being in the same stage, but moving on with life. I'll give an example. When an individual has contracted HIV/AIDS, they might go through all these other stages, but when they come to acceptance, someone realizes that, yes, I have a problem, I am infected, but the only way to go is to live with this particular illness or a disease. When an individual comes to acceptance, they start now living this positive life without any disturbances. They comfortably live the life. So generally, these are the 5 stages that we always go in when we are in our mental health recovery journey. In this, specifically, the idea is that an individual will go in these stages. And if we are to help them, then we should understand in which stage an individual is in. If an individual is in anger, you will expect them to be violent. And for that reason, it requires you to understand why they are behaving in the same. If someone goes so silent and maybe they become isolated from the rest of the members, you know that they are depressed. And for that reason, you have better ways of bringing them back to the normal environment. So generally, these are the 5 stages that we always go through when we are experiencing these life changes.
Amaina gange ninze na Mirembe Zaina. Ndi mutyami wa Kyamagwa wano. Kati abaana nazaala abaana 5. Nasiba oyo mwana wa 3, mwana wange wa 3. Kati Nasiba namuzaala nga mulamu bulungi. Nasiba yalwalanga wa mwaka mulala. Nasiba amatu gaziba. Kati amatu bwe gaziba twadaga kunajja kwewanyange eyo abewanyange banko bayida kuterera kuba n'amaiso gaali gazibye. Batereza amaiso amatu gadeema bandagirira eyo ekyambogo nti jja bayida kumutereza. Sente wali wazira n'abivwako n'aleka. Nasiba muntu mugezi aye bwakuze mbukulu muno ansumbuyire kuzaala bano baana kuba wabazaala bababa bayibwe tibategeera. Aye kyemwenumirizamu nti mugezi alina ekyalaani kye atunga yafuna yakasente era buli kaafuna takagalambyako banti tutwalireyo omwana ku isomero oba okugula olugoye lw'omwana ge.